This episode is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Every time you kick back with Michelob Ultra, you score big. So why not reward yourself with a nice cold Ultra? As the official beer sponsor of the NBA, enjoy Michelob Ultra at your local Buffalo Wild Wings while rooting for your favorite team during the NBA playoffs. Or pick up Michelob Ultra at your local 7-Eleven store today. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It's time for today's Lucky Land horoscope with Victoria Cash.
Life's gotten mundane, so shake up the daily routine and be adventurous with a trip to Lucky Land. You know what they say. Your chance to win starts with a spin. So go to LuckyLandSlots.com to play over 100 social casino-style games for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Get lucky today at LuckyLandSlots.com.
Available to players in the U.S., excluding Washington and Michigan. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Well, good evening, everybody. On this Wednesday evening special of the Scottish Football Show, we are obviously here to review the final day of the league season for season 2023-2024. An action-packed season all the way throughout. Twists and turns aplenty, and plenty for us to get our teeth sunk into on the final day as well. And with me to dissect it all and go through the connotations for all the teams, it is Ian. Ian, how are we?
I am all right. A little bit tired after the last half an hour or so. Been going through the mill somewhat here and there. But now, all good. All good. Ready to get through this and finish the season off, or the league season at least off. And as a Rangers fan, try to put it behind me. But let's crack on and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I suppose that is true. As Rangers fans, we're happy that the season in the league is over. But on this programme, we bring the counterbalance and we give the fair shake of the whip to everybody else, because it's all about shining a light on Scottish football, and that's what we've been here to do for the whole season long. And this show will be nothing less. So, let's start and just get it out the way first and foremost, and just, deal with it. Across the city, they were obviously, they won the title, Celtic, a third year in a row. They were up against St Mirren. And I've got to say, Ian, St Mirren, whilst they didn't really have anything to play for, they were already, home and hosed in terms of that fifth spot and a European qualification next campaign. They certainly didn't play like a team who were on their holidays and nothing to play. They came out the blocks sharp and early, and they take the lead after about 6 or 7 minutes through Mark O'Hara, who just seems to enjoy a goal against either side of the Old Firm.
Oh, he certainly does. He's been the scourge of both teams, and a good finish as well. I mean, quick, not exactly something that he's had time to think about, and managed to get it into the corner and past Joe Hart. But definitely, St Mirren's season's been a pretty special one for them to finally get European football after I don't know how many years. I think they did mention it on Sports Scene, but it's like the 80s, I think, the last time they played in Europe at all. If it was the Scottish Cup win when Ian Ferguson played for St Mirren, I think, has got them into Europe the last time. So, yeah, been, like you say, they could have easily just gone there, sunglasses on, deck chairs out, and just let the game go what it was. But now I think the possibility of dampening the spirits on a title party always gets the other team up for it a little bit as well. But yeah, out the blocks and flying with a cracking finish. And at that point, I don't think you could argue they weren't in the game. So a good start for him.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you were thinking at that point that it was maybe going to continue a wee pattern, because obviously over the last couple of years, there has been a weird tendency for Celtic to not win that last game of the season when, to be fair, there's nothing on it. It doesn't really matter. It's done and dusted. But as I say, St Mirren obviously had a real go at them. But Celtic did pick themselves back up from that. And they did find an equaliser through Matt O'Reilly. It was a good bit of play. He sort of, he's the one that actually heads it through to Kyogo, who holds it up fairly well. And then Gogic is a bit lucky. He's tried to head it clear, and it just happens to fall at the feet of Matt O'Reilly, who slots it home. And again, much like the Mark O'Hara one, I actually thought it was similar-ish in terms of the style of it, because it was a bit of a scramble that's fell to him just inside. But another good finish for Matt O'Reilly to level things up.
I think if you're St Mirren at the moment and playing against Celtic, that's the last man you want that type of ball to fall at the feet of. That put him as Celtic's outright top goal scorer for the season at that point as well. And that's been the difference for Celtic. Their midfield has contributed more goals than the Rangers midfield has contributed. So that's going to help you get to a title. It's all well and good your striker getting 22 goals, but if your midfield isn't contributing to that level, then you're going to struggle. So that's part of the reason why they are now champions. And it was a hell of a finish, and you can't take it away from them. They've got an absolute gem there. They found an absolute gem kicking about the lower leagues of English football. And he's turned into potentially quite a large, another quite large transfer fee for them in the future, should they choose to cash in on him. But yeah, I mean, a good finish. I think you say Gogic unlucky. I know what he's trying to do. He's just not quite got there. He's had a weird couple of weeks with Gogic. Like the absolutely sublime clearance off the line against Rangers when, for all intents and purposes, Lawrence is going to score. To trying to do scissor kicks to try and score goals for St Mirren, and then he's had a couple of little errors as well coming up, and he tried his best, but I mean that's a hell of a finish from Matt O'Reilly, and 1-1 they go. And you'd think from then on that Celtic are just going to coast through 3, 4, 5 maybe, and just have a nice big title party, but not to be.
Well, no, absolutely, because they didn't stay level for too long. I think it was less than 10 minutes later. St Mirren again showed that tenacity, and the energy that they did have, and throughout the game, they were asking questions of Celtic. They looked like a team who didn't have any fear because they had nothing to lose in the game, and I think sometimes that freedom helps, and I thought it did there, because they get in again, the ball over the top. Stephen Welsh misjudges it, and as soon as it bounces behind him into the path of Lasagna, who's got great pace, Stephen Welsh is then struggling to get back, gets himself in all sorts of trouble, and it's a nudge in the back. Now, I must admit, on first view, I thought, well, it's a penalty, but it's potentially a soft nudge in the back there. I wanted to see it again to make sure, but I was convinced, and yeah, I don't think Welsh can have any complaints. He's just got himself into a bit of a mess.
Nah, no complaints. The only thing that surprised me is the referee gave it so quickly, because if memory serves, he's a referee that doesn't like to give penalties without VAR helping him. He tends to look a little bit scared. So that was a bit of a shock. But yeah, I don't think he can have any complaints with the penalty being given. VAR looked at it and agreed. So a penalty all round, maybe in the soft variety, but like Chris Boyd has always told us, you can have soft-boiled eggs and hard-boiled eggs, but an egg's an egg. So penalty it was.
Yes, this is true. And that's probably the best thing Chris Boyd's ever actually said as a pundit, if we're being honest. But yes, now after that, again, you think, okay, maybe Celtic are going to kick into gear and pick it up and go after St Mirren again to get that equaliser. But it's actually St Mirren who had the opportunity to go 3-1 up. Now, I'm interested to get your thoughts on this, because I'm not entirely sure what exactly happened. It comes in from a corner kick. Marco, gets to the back post for Mark O'Hara, who, on a hat trick, really could have, what a day that'd have been from. Manages to hit the outside of the post. He's unlucky. But then, obviously, the referee blows the whistle, pulls it up for a free kick. I don't think it was offside because they didn't say that it was offside. So there's been a foul spotted somewhere in that mire. Obviously, it's ineffectual when it comes to O'Hara missing the chance, but it was just a bit of a bizarre situation to me because it was a great chance for St Mirren to go 3-1 up, and I just wonder if he scored, VR would probably have let that goal stand.
Yeah, because I watched it on Saturday evening when the highlights were on, because obviously we were going to do this on Sunday, but we couldn't get us all together to do it, so that's why we're here now. And again, I've watched it again today just so that I get a kind of a feel for the games again, and I still can't see what they've given. So yeah, if that goes in, which it was unlucky, it hits the post. He could do a little bit better. It's a bit of an awkward chance, but he could have got his hat trick there. I think if that goes to VAR, I can't see how they can't turn around and say, I don't see anything, it's a goal, give it.
Yeah, it certainly would have created an interesting moment. And of course, had they gone 3-1 up, different dynamics to the game. However, as you say, they didn't. O'Hara probably should have done better with the header, all things considered. But Celtic do get themselves level before the half-time break. Incredibly, a fourth goal in this half. Tell me it's the final day of the season without actually saying it's the final day of the season. This game really, and again, you've got to say it's good play down the wing for Hatate. Good run for him, and then he squares in a fantastic ball for Kyogo. It's well weighted, and in my head I go, it frustrates me because that's the runs that Kyogo's been making for the last 3 years, and defenders still can't stop him. They still don't read it, and he's still clever enough to get in there. And there's only one outcome when he's in that position.
Very true, but the thing with strikers like Kyogo, and it's not just him. It goes back and back. You look at all the best strikers that have been in our league. The best strikers do what they do, and even though they're going to do it, there's nothing you can do to stop them. You look at Ali McCoy. Do you know what Ali McCoy is going to do 9 times out of 10? But could you stop him scoring a goal? No. Chris Boyd, Henrik Larsson. You don't know what these people were going to do, but they're going to get there anyway. They just have this knack of creating that space, and that is what Kyogo's good at. And if you give Kyogo a chance like that close, he's going to tuck it away. And it's that sort of between him and Hatate, there's definitely that link there. They know what each other is going to do without having to look, and that's the sign of it. And it pains me to say it, but that is the sign of a good team. And if we could do stuff like that, it would be more of a challenge. But you can't knock them. They've got the move. They put the ball into an area where Kyogo's going to go, and he's there, and he tucks it away with aplomb, indeed.
Yes, he certainly did. And at that point, 2-2 in the game, as we went into half-time. Came out in the second half, noticeably, Stephen Welsh went off for Celtic, I think with some sort of shoulder problem. I don't know if that was partially caused by the fall as he took down Olasanya in the first half, among other things. So, but obviously, Narovsky comes on and he plays a pivotal part later, actually, with a very good clearance. But St Mirren have, shall we say, a half-hearted appeal for a potential second penalty kick in the match. I mean, it's this argument, as you were saying there, about hard-boiled, soft-boiled, still an egg. When you look at the second incident involving Olasanya, again, similar to the first one, he gets himself into a really good area, wrangles himself through a couple of defenders to get in behind. Ralston is the one chasing him. His arms definitely sort of across Olasanya. Is there a slight tug for you? Was it enough for Olasanya to have gone down? And moreover, if the ref points to the spot, would it be a clear and obvious error?
Now, I put this down when I saw it, and initially, never a penalty for me, never. But then I thought back to a certain incident in the Old Firm game recently with Matt O'Reilly, where it was very similar, where he took the extra step and then went down. And I think Alessandro, in for the best will in the world, has kicked the floor. So he's felt the arm around him. He's kicked the floor and then gone down. So I think if he'd given it, I don't think VAR are going to accept it. I think VAR would overturn it and then tell the ref that it's not a penalty. But then it's up to him, isn't it? Because we all know that the Matt O'Reilly one across the board the other week was said that it wasn't a penalty, and the only person who thought it was the referee who gave it. So, but for me, not a penalty for me. Not a lucky escape. Just he kicks the ground, then he falls over. So.
Yeah, no, for the avoidance of doubt, I do fully agree with that. For me, never a penalty kick, and I think it's exactly as you've described. But, I've got to provide the questions on the other side of it, because there might be a St Mirren fan watching this thinking, what about that other penalty? We could have had it 2-2. So there we go. We have covered it. Celtic do go on and eventually win the match, Ian. Very late on, something that, annoyingly for us, seems to be a habit with Celtic over the course of a long time. I think Martin O'Neill's sides were very good at it. Neil Lennon's first spell, his side used to do it all the time. Used to drive me mad, because every time you thought they were dropping points, in the 98th minute they pop up with a winner. Wasn't as late as that here, but in the 86th minute, Palmer gets in. This is where I'm going to be critical of St Mirren, where I'm defending Ian, for me. And to be fair, Stephen Robinson was disappointed as well. Again, listen, fair play to Anthony Ralston. I thought it was a fantastic cross into the box. He's managed to whip it across the face, and he does superbly well. But Lewis Palmer should never in a million years be unmarked at the back post. I mean, seemingly nobody recognised that he was there, and it's a great finish for him. I'm sure he needs that for a confidence booster himself. But St Mirren will feel that, they do, as Steve Robinson said, it's a missed opportunity to go and, end your campaign with taking something for Parkhead. Yeah,
I mean, it's criminal defending. And it doesn't matter if it's the first game of the season, midway through, or last game, that's criminal defending, and you need to be looking at where your defence is. And if it's the defence that think they're being overrun, where's your midfield to help them back up? So, fair play to the lad for being there, Palmer. And he still has to put it away. It's not an easy thing to do. It looks easy because they make it look easy. It's not an easy thing to do on the run, head in there, one touch into the goal. But he should have been in the position to do it. He should have been covered. And it's something that's not just been the Martin O'Neill days, the Neil Lennon days. My old man tells me that Celtic used to score last-minute winners all of the time, even when he was young. So, and that's going back, 110 years or something. There's something they've always been good at, and they've been doing it year on year. You can probably pick out at least 7 or 8 incidents, probably just this season and again from last season where they've done it. So it's been in the game for 90 minutes plus, particularly now that we have the potential for long periods of injury time. So, but there's something that they've been good at for as long as I can remember anyway, and they get their 3 points. They take the win and they get their title party with a win. So fair play to them. Yeah,
it is. And it's, as you say, it's an annoying habit from our point of view, but it's a good habit to get into for any team that you know that until the full-time whistle goes, you've always got a chance, because you're going to, you get that habit of scoring late goals. Just very quickly to touch on, there was a moment for Joe Hart at the end of the game. He was taken off for Scott Bain, and what is possibly the quickest cameo appearance of the season from a goalkeeper. Look, taking our blue-tinted spectacles off for a second, Joe Hart, not just over the 3 years he's spent at Celtic, but can't be denied the man has had a very good career in the game. Particularly down south, he'd done some incredible stuff there. But he was the City goalkeeper at the start of their period of dominance, and won multiple Premier League titles with them. Had spells with other clubs as well at Burnley. Spurs maybe didn't fully work out for him, but he's decided to hang up the gloves, and I guess best wishes to him, because irrespective of what we think of Celtic, been a great career.
Yeah, you can't knock him. He's got the medals. It's one of those show us your medals, and he can wheel out a whole load of them. He's been to World Cups. He's been to European Championships. There's not, Scottish players wise, there's not a lot of Scottish players that can even say they've been to one of those. So he's been there, seen it, done it. He's got the medals to prove it, whether you like him or not. And my thing with Joe Hart is I used to like Joe Hart until he won that EPL with Manchester City. And then this arrogance appeared in him. And it's not because he plays for Celtic now, it's always been. And you saw it at the Euros when they played Iceland, and he's kicking the sign, shouting at ball boys and swearing at them and that sort of stuff. But we all get carried away at football. I've done it myself. But you can't knock his career. He's had a good career. He's finished it up at Celtic. And if you had told any Celtic supporter that Joe Hart is going to retire at your club, they'd have told you to do one and had a good laugh at that. So, fair. And as David P says, he went to Torino in Italy as well. So he's tried it. He's tried it outside of Britain as well. There's not many that succeed when they leave these shores. Generally, it's happening more and more now. But he's had a great career, a good send off. I think that Celtic did the right thing by giving him a chance to have that standing ovation of his own to walk off the pitch. And they had a TIFO display as well, which I'm pretty sure I've seen somewhere before, if I'm honest. But fair play to him and happy retirement. And honestly, mate, can't wait to see the back of you.
Yeah, listen, absolutely. Couldn't have put it much better myself. And look, we all have our own feelings and emotions as fans of our own club and stuff. But that it's no bad for this wee Farmers League when you get not one, but you look at Jack Butland as well, two top English goalkeepers. One of them, in fact, both, I think, have been capped for England at one point or another. And certainly, we would like to think that Jack Butland might get another cap. Joe Hart's obviously had his time. So, listen, it's no bad going to get goalkeepers of that calibre, players of that calibre in general. But moving on, we'll move on to the second game that was on the list on Sports Scene. A game that didn't have much on it at Dens Park. A game that prior to I was christening the Desmond Derby because it had all been 2-2 before this game. And I mean, to be fair, this one could have also been a 2-2. Firstly, I want to touch on is there was a bit of an emotional moment early in the game in the 9th minute. They had a minute's applause for a young Dundee fan, Stuart Gold, I believe it is, who sadly, at the age of just 9 years old, passed away last week. So, of course, myself, Ian, and everybody associated with the Rabble and the Scottish Football Show pass on our condolences, and fair play to Dundee and Kilmarnock and our supporters. That was a lovely moment from them with that one. Just felt I should mention it.
What I will say is I was only watching the highlights because obviously I don't get to. I could have watched it live if I wanted to, but I did watch the highlights, and even in the highlights I joined in with the clap, mainly because I was sat there watching it with my little boy who's 8. So but for the grace of God, I could have been in that position myself. So and what I did like was the fact that the referee stopped the game so that the players could join in as well. I thought that was good. That doesn't always happen. So fair play to everyone involved for that.
Absolutely, yep. It's a tragically young age to lose your life, and I think everybody involved with that absolutely showed the utmost respect and dignity. On the actual game itself, first thing to ask you, Ian, Dundee at 0-0 did have a penalty claim, which was the first.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Oh, Connor's done a Connor. Connor's done his Connor. That's a painful looking expression he's got on his face to go. So we'll carry this alone. I think I know where he's going with this one. I think it was. What's the name of the player? Lost it. But yeah, Dundee with a penalty shout in the first half. While Pad, he's back. He's back. I'm assuming we're talking about the first half penalty incident. And I want to say I can never get because they've got two players that are very similar. And I was going to say Bakayoko, but I'm not sure if it was Bakayoko that was involved.
It was, yes, it was Bakayoko. Good slide rule pass into him. He gets in behind. Now, I must say, the camera angles don't help much with this one because there's no close angle of it. They seem to be sort of further away angles. But when you see it, it looks like one of those ones that, as Bakayoko's gone in, Stuart Findlay's sort of cutting across the back of him. And it does look like, has he maybe caught him? You know, sometimes you get those little clips that are very hard to see, where he maybe just clips his ankle and he goes down. Tough one to call. I mean, penalty for you, Ian. Did you see enough in it?
Never a penalty for me. So I'm back in the referees tonight, which is unlike me. But I didn't think it was a penalty. I think if there was a contact, it was the minimalist of contact and not enough to make him go down anyway. I know that they say you run at pace and the slightest touch will knock you off balance and put you on the floor. But to me, I don't think there was enough there to give a penalty. I think from the point of view of a fan, if it was given against me, I'd be absolutely raging. So, no, for me, not a penalty, correct decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think, on the basis of what they could work with, what they could see, which is perhaps a discussion for another day in terms of improving the technology, I don't see how they could have given it. I think if the ref gives it or the linesman gives it, I think VR would have upheld it because I don't think they would have seen enough to say he wasn't clipped. Equally, there wasn't enough to say it was, and I think, it's the right decision on that basis. Although, as you mentioned there, if there is a slight clip at that pace, that is enough to throw you off balance and go down. So, 50-50 one. However, Kilmarnock, after that scare, shall we say, they do take the lead. And I must say, I'm surprised to see this man's name in the starting lineup for Kilmarnock because since he joined, he's not had many starts, not had many games. Gary Mackay-Steven, I know he's also had some injury issues, but he's the man to put them in the lead. Fraser Murray, some good footwork to get into the box. It's a shot away, it's deflected, comes back to Gary Mackay-Steven, and he tucks it home.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't pay much attention to the team sheets on the highlights when I was watching it. So I thought it was going to be like Watkins or then they'd been mentioning Murray a fair bit while they were going through, and to hear Gary Mackay-Stevens, I was like, oh, I forgot he was still there. I've seen him a couple of times on the bench, but never really seen him. So he got his first and last goal for Kilmarnock because I believe he's been released at the end of the season by all accounts. A nice little cameo for him and a good way for him to sign off his Kilmarnock career by the sounds of it.
Yeah, well, we'll see where that one rumbles on. There has been, as you say, a lot of talk about it, and it does sound like it could be the end for him there. Now, this is a moment that I honestly, you can take this away really. Dundee's equaliser. Now, Derek McInnes, not a happy man. He thinks this is offside. Now, you'd think in a normal country where you have the technology we have to hand, you would be able to conclusively tell if someone's offside or not. That is the main thing when VR was brought in. We were told that's the matter of fact. That's the thing that, let's be honest, Ian, we should be getting right 100% of the time. You know, if someone's offside, we should be able to tell that. However, we're blighted in Scotland by not enough camera angles and camera angles in certain stadiums that just aren't good enough to be able to definitively say. Because initially, and this is where I'm going to come to you at this point, it's not given as a goal on the park at the time. It's immediately checked because I think the linesman puts his flag up, I'm pretty sure, or the referee pulls it back, whatever the case may be. But there seems to be confusion around that. But when you look at the angle, first of all, it's blocked off by a pole that's one of the pillars that hosts. Because, of course, that's where you would put it, wouldn't it? Right behind the pillar that's holding the stand up. And second of all, it's so far away and at that corner angle, like for Parks, putting that line straight across is hard. So I guess the question is it offside and should it stand? And if, as I think it was, although I can't be 100% sure, if the on-field decision was initially no goal, then should that have been the decision that they stuck with? A loaded question for you there.
A loaded question, but no, typical Scottish football. If you wanted to put Scottish football in a nutshell, yeah, we got VAR, but we've got a pole in the way, so you can't see it. But I mean, they even made mention of it in the commentary that the pole is there, and you cannot see when that pass was actually made. So the on-field decision is offside. If you again, VAR is there to clear it up. If you can't clear it up, if you can't put actually you've 100% got that wrong, we know when that ball was played, which it's impossible to tell when that ball was played. They can't really then turn around and say you've got that wrong, and it's a goal. So I think they should have probably at that point, because they couldn't definitively tell, probably stuck with the on-field decision, because that's what you've got to do. That's VAR, and if VAR can't tell, then they stick with the on-field decision. They're that's kind of re-refereeing the game, and I think that's been the massive failing of VAR in Scotland this year, is that it's not used as a tool to assist. It's used as a tool to re-referee, in my opinion. And that's only my opinion. So I think Dundee got lucky with that one, and I think the on-field decision should have stood.
Yes, I totally agree. And it comes back to that point, as you're saying, Ian, it's about not re-refereeing the game. You know, we spoke about it with the penalty kick incident at the start of this game, where we both said that if there's no conclusive proof, you can't give it. And because the on-field decision, I quite nicely, as we touched on, was that it was no penalty, then VR couldn't have any proof to say that it should be. And with that one there, they can't have possibly had any proof to say that it was either on or offside, so therefore you stick with the on-field decision. So, yeah, the debate obviously around VAR will rage on, and we will have many more conversations about it, I'm sure, but that for me was a poor example of it, especially at a time where down south they're having a vote on whether or not to keep it. I suspect they probably will, and they'll just make improvements, but that's where we need to get better. Kilmarnock had a number of big opportunities after the equaliser, particularly in the second half. They could have gone on and won this game by a couple, actually, if they'd taken them. Barley Watkins, they wish. Kilmarnock wish. It was Ollie Watkins. Don't get your hopes up, Kilmarnock fans. He's not gone anywhere near. Marley Watkins, I mean, they do sound similar in my defence. Heads onto the bar. It's a good cross in. Bit unlucky to see it come off the bar. And then after that, Fraser Murray, and what a strike he hits, by the way, for this free kick, because that's not he's not exactly, 15, 20 yards out here. You're talking probably a good 30 yarder. And he's rattled one off the bar, and then the header for the follow-up, somehow, to give credit, is cleared by the Dundee defender, who somehow manages to extend his neck up to stop what looked a certain goal. So, rude, some missed opportunities there for Kilmarnock, Ian.
Yeah, but it was ruined the missed opportunities. But of all the games in Scotland today, if you were going to put the mortgage on a draw, this is the one. I mean, hitting the bar and then having how I'm still kind of scratching my head on how he managed to clear it. But there was a lot of missed chances from Killy in this game. I mean, they had more than one opportunity to win this game, and it could have easily been out of sight. But they weren't. And it was one of those end of season games. It was fantastic to watch. I mean, the highlight. I mean, I don't know what the whole game was like, but the highlights were fantastic to watch because there just seemed to be so much going on. Again, like the end of the season, tell me it's the end of the season and the last game without actually telling me it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And all those who had put their mortgage on would have been absolutely sweating it right at the death of this game, because Robbie Dees decides he's going to go in with a reckless-looking challenge in Boateng, gets maybe slightly lucky, gets a booking that about right for you with the first incident, that it was just a booking, or could that itself have been a straight red?
Well, we've seen incidents of it being a straight red. Pre-VAR and post-VAR, we've seen incidents like that being a red. The first one that struck my mind was, I don't see much difference, and this was going back a couple of years, to be fair, so I don't see much difference between that and the Ryan Jack one at Aberdeen. And Jacko got sent off that day. But that's blue-tinted specs of a different colour blue, considering Dundee were playing. But yeah, I think Kenny Miller did put it in bit when he was trying to defend Lundstrom. Not every single tackle you make like that is a red card. Lundstrom's was. I'm not defending that. But for me, I think overall the correct decision was made by giving him the booking. He could have easily have gone, but I think the correct decision was made for a red card.
Yeah, absolutely. And that yellow card would come back to bite him later on. But just before that, Ian, we're both goalkeepers. And we know that sometimes goalkeepers, it can be a lonely job, but it can also be a bit of a mental breed, and do some things. And I've quite simply just written here, what's the keeper doing? Because, my goodness me, he seemed to sort of misjudge it, and then in an attempt to keep clearing it, he just seemed to get further and further and further up the field, to the point where he was at the halfway line by the time he clears it out, eventually, for a Kilmarnock throw, McCracken. And, I mean, fair play, I suppose. I don't know if you'd call it techers, but he gets a little bit of luck, because if he loses the ball there, we've seen it in the Chelsea game when Caicedo pinged one, and it can happen to you.
Yeah, I just remember it happening, and he's gone, oh, he's messed this up. And that's not the language I used at the time, but he's messed that up before the watershed. And then, oh, no, he's recovered. Oh, he's messed it up again. No, he's recovered. Oh, he's messed it up again. And then he manages to clear it. And probably my little boy, who was watching the highlights with me again, probably with the best dad joke of the day, went, that was just McCracken. And that was him. That was him, not me. I didn't give him that one. He did that himself. But yeah, again, it's just one of those end of the season things, and so typically Scottish football. It was just fantastic.
Yeah, everything gets thrown in the mix in these end of season games, and I mean, yeah, goalkeepers at the halfway line. We'll love to see it only occasionally, and when it's not your goalkeeper as well, to be fair. But as I say, two main incidents towards the end of this game that should have led to a Dundee win, really, Ian. That we spoke about for Robbie Dees earlier came back to haunt him, because now somebody will have to explain to me why on earth they decided to make this challenge. Costello, okay, gets the better of him and is going down the wing where he can maybe get across in the box, but on a booking, Dees just slides in, and with that big stretching leg, he just wipes Costello out. And quite funnily enough, the referee booked the wrong player at first. He booked Findlay for some unknown reason, and then was eventually told either by his linesman or by somebody in his ear, no, it was actually Dees who's already on a booking, so you better, because you can imagine the stories, if a player on a booking makes a tackle, the wrong player gets booked for it, and he stays on the park. So
yeah,
he got there in the end, but yeah, just craziness for Robbie Dees in the final game there.
Yeah, and he's defending himself, trying to say he got the ball. I mean, if he gets the ball, it doesn't go in the direction it went. As simple as that. It goes a completely different direction. Unless he's trying to say that he played it off the guy and it's gone out for a goal kick and he made a legitimately good tackle. Stupid thing to do. If you are on a booking, that's not a challenge you make. You just stand up and try to make him either knock it by you and run out of field, or just shepherd him out, or just let him get the crossing and let the rest of them deal with it. You don't do things like that and get yourself sent off and put your team under pressure. I mean, the referee needs to go. Our refs are sponsored by Specsavers, and you understand why, because how he's managed to book the wrong player, and then have to be told, no, it's actually him that's done it, and you're gonna have to send him off. And then the other thing was, why did VAR take so long? No, that was the pen. Yeah, that was a different game. Sorry. Why? That's the different. I'm thinking of a different game. 2 games in my head at the same time. So yeah, why did it take so long to make the decision to find the right man? But why are you even making that challenge and putting yourself under
Bonkers.
pressure?
Absolutely bonkers. And as you say, it was like one of those Specsavers adverts where the farmer shears the sheepdog instead of the sheep. You know, it was bizarre. I don't even think Finlay was anywhere near it. Like, it was literally only. So I don't know how he's concocted that one. But anyway, we'll just about round that game up here. But Dundee do get a penalty. Virtually the last throw-ins of the game. And, you know, when you thought this game, you know, between Tony Docherty and Derek McInnes, there was finally, well, we're going to get a winner between these two. Oh, Paul McCowan. I mean, first of all, no arguments of it being a penalty at all. Liam Donnelly has a wild swipe at it. Again, Costello involved, and he's just wiped out just inside the area. And then Luke McCowan steps up. And I know they say save your best till last and all that, but he saved his worst till last. That's a poaching penalty, to use a Scottish term there, Ian.
Yeah, that's an awful penalty. And you'll be shocked to hear that I agree that it is a penalty. Yeah, there's no getting away from that. But that's what Dees has done, because if he doesn't get sent off, he's there to defend it and not Donnelly. For me, Dees, although he's not on the pitch, he's caused that incident by not being on the pitch. Because if he was there, I don't think you have such a rash lunge for the ball, and either you let them control it and take it off him, or you get to it first as a defender. But yeah, I mean, he doesn't come in for a lot of stick, McCowan, because he's been one of Dundee's better performers this season. He's caught the eye on quite a few occasions. But yeah, it was an awful penalty. I mean, to not even hit the target without any challenge from 12 yards, it's unforgivable. As a goalkeeper, I'm glad when they go sailing past the post and you ain't got to do anything. But yeah, if you're an outfield player, not even hitting the target is not acceptable, especially if you're a professional footballer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You should be scoring in those moments. Thankfully, it wasn't a game that mattered much, so it didn't cost Dundee anything. Although there is that rather strange look where, albeit they finished 6th because of the split, but actually in terms of points, they finished 9th. Bit of a bizarre. The quirks of Scottish football.
I think we talked about that last week, and they're in the place that we all actually expected them points-wise to finish the season. I don't think many people had them actually going down or in the playoff place, but I think 9th was. They looked like a 9th place team. They've defended like a 9th place team at times, and the points total doesn't lie. It's just a split. It's just a stupid thing we need to get rid of.
Yes, absolutely. And just before we do continue, I'm seeing some comments flying in here to the chat because there is a Celtic crest on our background. If you're not a regular around here, it's a Scottish football show. We talk about all the other teams. That is what it is. And in fact, if you give me a second, Ian, I'm just going to quickly pop us out so they can see the full image.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
There we are. As you can see, there is a Rangers flag. It's just bad. It's just behind me. You know, we have all the club badges here because that's what we're talking about on this particular show. For the regulars around here who are commenting in, you know this stuff already. So, you know, I appreciate it's not for everybody. And if you don't want to continue watching, that's fine. See you later. If you do, thank you very much. Right, now that we've covered that particular piece of admin, and it's only fitting in that it would be the last Scottish football show of the season that would have to obviously address that. Now, I'm going to have to do this a bit differently because the final 2 games to be discussed, 2 of the final games to be discussed we're going to kind of lump into one, because these were the games that really had stuff riding on them. Going into the last game of the season, Ian, we didn't know who Raith Rovers were going to play in the playoff final. We knew it would be St Johnston or indeed Ross County. Now, firstly, going into this, right? Thanks very much, Robert. Yes, we might need to start doing that at the start of next season. We'll just put up a wee just trigger announcement before the show. May contain scenes of a Scottish footballing nature. But going into it, you looked at it on paper and you thought, okay, St Johnston away at Motherwell, Ross County at home against Aberdeen. You kind of fancied Ross County would dig it out, Ian. And it looked at the start of that game like they would, because they did get in front through Simon Murray.
They did. The one thing with Aberdeen since the split is that they have, up until that game, hadn't lost a post-split fixture this season. So it was a tough ask for Ross County, even at home, even though they have dug out some great results to try and keep themselves out of this playoff place, most notably against Rangers. There you go. Got the mention in for you. But they got off to a great start. Simon Murray. And I believe that it's all the hard work goes down to Conor Randall on this one. He done some great work down his side of the pitch and managed to get that ball in. But take nothing away from Simon Murray. His finish was brilliant. If that's anyone else in the league, higher up the league, the Hearts player, a Rangers player, a Celtic player, you're talking about that goal for weeks, to flick it up and then come around and volley it. And if you look closely behind the goal, the copper in that corner was terrified. It was coming straight for him because he tries to move out the way of it as well. So it was a superb finish. And it's just me to find little things like that because I like the little quirky bits. But it was a superb finish and a great goal all round from start to finish.
Yeah, it was absolutely. And Wolf, regular viewer on around these parts, our resident Jambo. Great point there. Simon Murray is a decent striker, and I think, it's been almost in spite of his efforts that County find themselves in the position that they are once again this season. I mean, the crest is there, Wolf. We can certainly look to get you a more prominent position on the screen next season, I'm sure. But just when County thought everything was starting to go their way, they're thinking we're going to be safe. And they must have been disappointed when the news came through from Fir Park that St Johnston had put themselves in front. Rather surprisingly, because I must say, and we are going to have to jump back and forward because these incidents are all interwoven with each other. I didn't give St Johnston much chance going to Motherwell because I fancied that Motherwell, last game of the season, they're at home as well. You want to send your fans home happy. You can't achieve anything. But against a flailing St Johnston side, just go out there and put in a shift and get the result. But St Johnston, to their credit, knew what was at stake and they turned up to get 3 points. And Nicky Clark aided them along their way with a rare goal, it has to be said, this season.
It is a rare goal for him. He's been out injured for quite a while as well. But that's a typical Nicky Clark goal. Put it in that area, in that corridor of uncertainty, as it's like to be called. And 9 times out of 10, he's going to put that ball in the back of the net. I think this was the quintessential end-of-season game for Motherwell. Like we said, with St Mirren could possibly have gone to Celtic Park already on the beach. I think Motherwell came out with the flip-flops on, and to them, it doesn't matter to us because we're safe. We can't go up, we can't go down. So that we just got to get through the game, and it's the end of our season. We go on holiday and just chill out, and then start again wherever we may be next season, depending on who stays and who goes. Whereas, like you said, St Johnston had something to play for, and it showed pretty much the entire game, really. But a typical Nicky Clark finish. That's the sort of goal he built himself on at Queen of the South. That's how he got his move away from them to Rangers, and then obviously he scored goals like that for them before being let go, and he's done it ever since at the clubs he's been at. So it's no surprise that he finished that off the way he did.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And, the thing is as well, you've got to say that across this a season, of course, on your teams like County and St Johnston, you need a bit of luck to go your way. You need the rub of the green as well at times, and as well as putting in performances to rescue yourself. And that's what St Johnston's a real rescue job. But, they go in front and they're thinking, okay, we're doing our bit. Over to you, Aberdeen, please, thank you. And 18 minutes after they score, Aberdeen, just after the half-hour mark, duly oblige. And Esther Sockler levels things up for them to send both the Dons fans and the St Johnston fans wild.
Yep, and a very good finish as well, and what is a rare start on his own up top without Miovski being there. He's a fairly, I think Sockler's quite a decent striker for Aberdeen, and I'd be thinking they would be looking to hold on to him come for next season as well, particularly with the idea that Miovski may be on the move. I'm not saying he's being sold. Aberdeen fans, we jump in the chat and tell me that we're trying to sell your players, but of all the Aberdeen players, he's more than likely the one that's going to bring money in for them at the start of the season. So I think having someone like Sockler there to carry on next season wouldn't be a bad thing for them. And Aberdeen there trying to spoil the Ross County party, which had got off to a wonderful way. But again, you can't give players like him that sort of space and time, and he puts it away. 1-1.
Yep, 1-1. And at that stage, 1-0 in Dingwall, 1-0 at Fir Park to St Johnston. St Johnston, as it stood, we're going to be staying up. Ross County, we're going to be in the playoffs. And boy, did St Johnston bolster their chances, and it got better for them into stoppage time in the first half. And Sidibe, who, to be fair to him, I feel has certainly helped St Johnston towards the tail of the season. He's not always the greatest player or nicest in the eye, but he's someone who does carry a bit of a threat for them and at least gives defenders something to think about when he's in those areas. And in this situation, he does, and he puts his side 2-0 up, and really solidifying that they were going to do their job, and it was all about what happened in Dingwall.
Yeah, this is again St Johnston showing up and having the grit and the determination to do what they needed to do to survive. Now, you know what I'm like when it comes to players and getting them mixed up and giving them wrong names, and that includes our own. One fine time where they were talking about Seema, and I said it was from my neck of the woods because I still thought you were talking about Cantwell. But is Sidibe, is this the guy they got from Warrington?
I believe so, yes.
So a player from lower than the lowest league in England, and I think eyebrows were raised at it, and he's literally come in and he scored a few goals and has been quite quintessential to them staying in this league, and he's done it again with a nice tidy finish. Yeah, but what I will say is I want to know what was the thinking between the goalkeeper and the defender, because neither one of them could make a bloody mind up what they were doing.
Yes, no, absolutely. And it did seem bizarre because it seemed to linger in the box for at least enough time for one of them to make a decision and clear it before Sidibe gets the goal. And yeah, summed up, I think, the reason why Motherwell found themselves in the bottom six this season and not the top six, just moments like that in key areas that they've been getting wrong too often. What I will say, and this is the fast pace of our show, ladies and gentlemen, to quickly rewind back in, because you talk about rubs of the green and big moments in games that can help you. St Johnston absolutely get away with a big moment because, of course, Motherwell have a penalty, which I must admit, I'm not entirely sure what the penalty was given for, because to me, I'm not, I think, I know the cross comes into the box, something happens, it's a penalty, and talking about putting your mortgages on things, you'd have put your mortgage on Theo Bear stepping up and sorting that home, because he's done it, with aplomb. He's been a key man for them this season, and much to St Johnston's relief and to Ross County's absolute horror, he misses.
Firstly, on the penalty, this is the handball rule to a T. The guy's got his arm is out and the ball hits his arm, but I don't think he knows anything about it. It literally just hits his arm. He has no idea where the ball is. He has no idea where his arm is, but it is in an unnatural position. Therefore, it's a penalty under the rule. And whether we like it or not, that's the rule. It's a penalty. It's given, and as you say, you would put your money, particularly as he's had a very good season compared to what he's normally done. You would put the money on it, but it was a decent save from probably the third. I'm going to say he's the third best goalkeeper in the league, and Miovski. Not Miovski. He's plays up front for Aberdeen. Mitov. See, I've done it. I told you. I'm terrible with names, but I got it. I got there in the end. A good save, but a poor penalty.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. As you say, again, it is a situation where I'd have had a mortgage on Bear, but these are moments that define how you end up finishing a season. And for St Johnston, that went their way. Back up north, back up the A9 to Dingwall. Things got worse at that point for Ross County.
And he's gone again. So we'll keep going. We are back up at Dingwall. I believe he was where we were going. And Ross County this time. No, McGrath for Aberdeen comes in and gets the goal. You back again?
I am back again, yes.
Take over then, boss.
My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Goodness me. Yes, as I was saying, just when the county fans were hoping that their team could solidify a position, Aberdeen go 2-1 up in front with Jamie McGrath.
Yeah, and Jamie McGrath does what Jamie McGrath does. And he doesn't score many bad goals, and this wasn't a bad goal either. So he manages to really now put massive pressure on Ross County and makes them. This is the bit where they're going to start panicking. They're going to start having issues going forward because they're going to be so desperate to score goals that they're just going to literally glaff at anything they can. And David P., you're right. When I'm on my own, there's a panic because you've got no one to talk to, and I can't even talk to myself properly without losing an argument. But yeah, I mean, Jamie McGrath does what Jamie McGrath does and puts Aberdeen 2-1 up.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair, now, again, you talk about moments and games and things that can change it for you in a heartbeat. St Johnston in Dreamland at this point, they're 2-0 up. Aberdeen 2-1 up in Dingwall. As far as they're concerned, they're going to be home and host. They're going to be safe. And then they'll have heard the news come through that Angus MacDonald gets himself sent off and Ross County have a penalty kick. Now, Ian, this might be a controversial opinion. I don't think it should have been a red card. I think it's a penalty. I think there's no doubt in my mind it's a penalty kick. He brings down Jordan White. And I understand the position of the pitch it's in the box. My argument for why it's not a penalty, not a red card, it is a penalty, is simply because I don't see that he's the last man, because there is another Aberdeen player standing in the box and in theory at least could maybe get across there. Also, it's at an angle. I think a penalty and a booking would have been the right call, but for Ross County, they're thinking all their Christmases have come at once here, because not only do you get a penalty, you've now got a man advantage. Of course, Jan Danda stepped up and did make it 2-2 with about half an hour to go.
23 minutes to go, to be completely exact. But for me, I'm going to go with it is a penalty. No doubt about it. Definitely a penalty for me. And I think they're correct to send him off because he's not making a genuine attempt to play the ball. And I think Jordan White's going to get that shot off. I mean, literally, if he gets away from that defender, he's having a go and there's nothing the other defender can do. So I think it's in the terms of, yes, he's there, but is he going to get in there in time to actually stop him having an effort at goal? And I don't think he was. So I think overall, for me, personally, I think the correct decisions were made on both sides, penalty and a red card.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we're getting really pushed for time here, so we'll whistle stop through this now. Moments happening all over the place at both grounds. And Ross County, Jordan White, the man who normally steps up in big moments for them when they need something, he usually is the man to find it, and he'll not get. There is no better chance or better person for that chance to fall to save yourselves, which they should have done, than Jordan White. The ball falls at his feet, and he manages to put it wide instead of on target. And that at that point of the game, Ian, that would have been enough to save them.
It would have high, wide, and handsome, I think, is how the saying goes. And of all the people in the box you want that to land to, him, out of the three they've got up there with him, Murray and Brophy, him and Murray, the two you'd want it to land to, it gets to him. And on this occasion, for him to miss it from there is a bit of a shock more than anything. But he is leaning back slightly, and he has got the defender to deal with. So there is circumstances that make understand it. And they did hit the post just before that as well. So they were desperately trying their best to get that goal that would have saved them, but it just wasn't forthcoming. No,
absolutely. Motherwell did get a consolation at the end of the game to make it maybe slightly nervy. St Johnston, although not that nervy, because it was the 94th minute, and then I think there was maybe about 2 minutes of play after that, if that. So, job done for them. But overall, Ian, you see those scenes at the end at Fir Park. They're standing around waiting for the final whistle to go at Dingwall, almost as if it was some sort of a weird title thing that they were waiting for. Obviously, for those clubs that does mean a lot to stay up, and they did. But looking at both sides of the coin, is it the fair outcome in the end for it to be County in the playoffs again against Wraith Rovers, or St Johnston sort of got away with one? I mean, bear in mind, even midweek, County were seconds away from being safe until St Johnston got an equaliser. So is it maybe that they've just had the better mentality in these last two games, St Johnston, that they've not given up on it?
I think St Johnston had just emptied the tank and left everything on the pitch, and what happens. And I think, end of the day, the table doesn't lie, does it? It's that old adage that the top of the league, that Celtic have won the league because they are the best team this year. They've proved that they've got more points than anybody else. They've won more. They've done what they've needed to do to win the league, and equally down the bottom, St Johnston have picked up enough points to be safe, and Ross County have dropped points, and the table doesn't lie, so they deserve to be where they are. I don't think they should be where they are, because that strike force alone should be enough to fire at least mid-table. But I agree with Robert. I think they will have enough to see off Wraith. But then I thought they had enough to see off Thistle last year, and that went right down to the wire. So what do I know?
Yeah, absolutely. And that brilliant answers that question. That obviously starts tomorrow, the first leg taking place in Kirkcaldy. And then on Sunday, Ross County will be at home for that return leg. And be very interesting to see, County, to be fair to them, when you think they're dead and buried, they find a way. Last year, they lost that first leg 2-0 at Thistle. Thistle then went in front at Dingwall to make it 3-0, and you thought at that point, okay, it's trips to Maryhill next season then. But they battled back, Ross County, to 3-3, and then ultimately won in a penalty shootout. So, listen, it'll be an interesting one. Robert's point about artificial surfaces, I do agree with. We don't ideally want them as much as a new club. Wraith haven't been a top flight club in 30 years. But it would be nice to see a club like that getting up. I would rather the grass pitch stayed personally. So I'm going for County in that one, Ian, for me. Right. There was a final game, Livingston and Hibs. Took place at the Tony Macaroni. The last time we will see that ground in the top flight, certainly for at least another season. Although, with this pending resolution, possibly ever for that pitch, who knows? But just very briefly, Ian, a nothing game. Hibs obviously sacking Nick Montgomery during the week, and David Gray stepping in as interim manager, as he has done a few times now. After getting off to a wonderful start as interim manager with a 4-0 thrashing during the week for his side, they end up drawing this one against their already relegated Livingston side. So I guess my question for you is, where the Hibs turn to next for their next manager? Because they seem to have went with experience, with the likes of Neil Lennon and Alan Stubbs in the past. They then went for the youthful option with Sean Maloney. Didn't really work out. Lee Johnston had a bit more experience. He didn't work out. Now they've had Nick Montgomery. Who's next? Because they're turning into Watford here.
I think the man who's next is the man who's there. I don't see why they don't give him a crack. 4 times he's been there. He's Hibs through and through. He'll run through brick walls for him. He'll do everything for him. He could have easily have left. I mean, how many different managers have been in there? Like you say, they're turning into the Scottish Watford. He's never left. He's always been there. He's been the constant. And it might just be enough with the players that they've got, that constant is enough to get them going. Outside of that, do they take a risk? Do they look at someone like Rhys McCabe at Airdrie to maybe go on because he's done well? Or are they going to just go off and look on left field and try to find that weird and wonderful manager that they've been bringing in? I thought Montgomery might actually be good for him when he came in. It was quite refreshing the way he was going about it. Being a Hibs, he wasn't willing to sit back and defend all the time. He was willing to try and attack, but the shortcomings of the team, they've got some decent players, but not enough to make a stand. For me, I don't know if there's any Hibs fans in here. I know we've got a Jambo. I don't know if we've got any Hibees in there, but I think the man who's sitting there right now is probably the man I would give it to.
Yeah, absolutely. Just briefly then, what about the man in the other dugout, David Martindale? Where do you see his future? Could he be a candidate even for the Hibernian job? Or do you think he will stay at Livingston and try and get them back up next season, which will not be an easy task?
It won't be an easy task because the Championship is a very, very competitive league. You just look at the teams that have been in it and the teams that have struggled in it, and another team that have lost out being in it in Inverness County Thistle. And if a team like that, who were quite an established SPFL team at one point, are struggling, then Livingston have got their work cut out. And if Martindale does go, which I hope he doesn't actually, because I quite like Martindale, and it's all down to new owners coming in and the new money men and what they want to do. But if he goes, then who's going to clean the kit? Who's going to clean the dressing room? Who's going to make the tea? Who's going to do the gate when the fans want to get in and that sort of stuff? Because he is a one-man club. He literally runs everything. And if he does end up going, who the hell is going to go to Livingston?
Well, yeah, absolutely. It'll be an interesting one to see. And certainly, listen, if Ross County stay up, then next season's championship will be very intriguing because it'll be the first one in a while that there's not been like an absolute outstanding favourite down there that you think, yeah, they'll come back up. Obviously, if County go down, they will be the favourites, you'd imagine. But, it's anybody's game next season to play for. And who knows what will happen with that. We have, unfortunately, run out of time. We were going to touch on Scotland's squad announcement, but we'll save that for another day, Ian. Just to say, that is, of course, the final review show of the season done. However, it is not the final Scottish football show of the season, ladies and gentlemen, because a week from Sunday, the 2nd of June, at 7:30 p.m, we will be back with a special end-of-season awards show, where anyone who watched the half-season awards during the winter break will know how it works. We will break down our picks for the player of the season and overall, the specific positions as well that they've played in, underachievers, overachievers, managers of the season, all that lovely stuff. We will delve into all of that because let's be honest, the PFA awards are nothing. These are the real awards. These are the awards that all the players are watching with bated breath to find out.
They all tune in. They'll all be here.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have some video link, acceptance speeches and everything. Just you wait for it. We will also on that show, because it will be our first one. After it, we will, make brief mention of the outcome of the playoffs, obviously, because by that point we will know who will be joining us in the top flight or staying in the top flight next season. And and of course the international breaks coming up with the Euros and things like that. But until then, all it remains for me to do is to say like and subscribe. If you've enjoyed it, you can become a member for less than a cup of coffee a month. The Rabble will be back tomorrow night with a members exclusive show, so there's still time to sign up as a member and catch that show. And then we'll be back, of course, at weekend to cover the Scottish Cup final. Ian, my thanks to you for holding the fort with me this evening.
Pleasure as always.
And we will see you all on the next one.
Sports Social Podcast Network.